Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Round Table.
You're listening to Roundtable. I'm Niu Honglin, joined by Steve and Yushan. In China, the 9th day of the 9th lunar month has always been a day to climb high in both body and spirit. The Double Ninth Festival reminds us to look back at those who came before us and to look ahead, forward to the future we are building together. Today, as China grows older and wiser, aging is no longer a distant topic about our grandparents. It's a shared journey we are all walking into step by step. From national strategies to smart robots, from young caregivers to digital helpers, we explore how silver and youth can shine together. And today we are having Roundtable's Heart-to-Heart segment where we hear from you, our listeners. You've sent us your thoughts, questions, and dilemmas, and now it's our turn to respond with insights, advice, and maybe a little tough love. But before that, when we talk about the future, we often picture youth, innovation, energy, possibility. But here's the thing, China's future is also a bit silver. By 2035, 1 in 3 people in China will be over 60. No, it's not a crisis. It is an opportunity to rethink how generations live, work, and care for one another. So, what does aging mean in a society that's moving faster than ever? How are young people redefining their roles, from tech innovators to community caregivers? On this special occasion, let's find out how silver meets youth in today's China. And please explain to us how come it's a special occasion.
Because today is the Double Ninth Festival,
Yay!
Also named the Chongyang Festival. It's been celebrated here in China for hundreds of years, for sure. And it falls on the 9th day of the 9th month of the Chinese lunar calendar. Thus the name Double Ninth Festival. So it has its roots in the ancient theory of the yin and the yang. So that's the two opposing forces in nature, with yin representing the feminine and passive side, while the yang representing the masculine and active side. And in this very belief system, even numbers belongs to yin and the odd numbers belongs to yang. And so by saying the 9th day of the 9th lunar month, bringing together two yang numbers, hence the name Chongyang, as in Chong in Chinese means doubling. So doubling yang. So as we decipher a little bit on the name, it also suggests that since 9 in traditional Chinese belief is the highest odd number and symbolizes longevity, this day therefore has long been seen as an auspicious time to honor the elderly and wish for longevity for them and respect and love for them.
I was curious to know if we had this kind of thing in Canada, so I looked it up, and it's more of an international thing than it is anything else. The government of Canada, they have National Seniors Day. It's on October 1st. It passed already, and I didn't even realize it passed already, but that's from the International Day of Older Persons, which was established by the United Nations in December of 1990. So we do have something, but obviously it doesn't have the history that it has here in China.
Yes, and here in China, in the Chinese belief system as well as traditions, we believe having an older person at home is definitely something to celebrate. They're wise, they have a lot of experience to share, and we honor them, we respect them, which is why sometimes not only are people spending the day to celebrate these seniors, they're also paying respect to the ancestors, the older than the older ones, and also because it's usually in autumn time, not this day in Beijing these days. Beijing's in cold winter already, but it's usually in autumn time, so the weather is very nice. You can go enjoy a little bit autumn outing if it's a thing, and you can enjoy mountain climbing, which is why mountain climbing is also a very common activity, popular one for the Double Ninth Festival, but mainly it's about the elder generation.
So are there any special foods? We know that during big holidays here in China, the food is Number one on the list of things that people look forward to almost. How about for this day?
Yes, food and also drink. And most inspiring thing that I personally found very interesting is that they all come from one type of flower called the chrysanthemum flower. So in ancient times, Chinese people harvest chrysanthemum flower at this time of the year, which is late autumn season, and they make it into chrysanthemum wine and also chrysanthemum cakes as a way to detoxify a little bit. Those of you who are familiar with traditional TCM, herbal medicine, will perhaps know that chrysanthemum flower has a strong power of calming down the inner flame within your body. So it's also a time to just calm down, have some chill time, and also prevent chills in late autumn. And for this season, chrysanthemum wine becomes a traditional drink during the Double Ninth Festival, symbolizing protection from misfortune. And then the chrysanthemum cake it's a little bit like a word game here, because in Chinese the cake is called 重阳糕 or 菊花糕, and the word gao sounds very similar to the Chinese word of high, tall, or just to symbolize progress and promotion network, or a lofty goal, let's say, in daily life and improvements in life by year. So that both of them are just very iconic food for this very occasion. And also I think this following one is something I haven't tried, but I'm looking forward to. That's wearing a dogwood sachet, or a dogwood or cornus sachet, which is something very traditional. It also has hundreds of years. It's something featured in the Tang Dynasty historic audiobook that I'm listening to recently, that on this very day, on the Double Ninth Festival, people would put this kind of herb that has a strong fragrance called cornus or dogwood into small sachets, into small silky bags, and wear them on your body as a way to drive away evil spirits and prevent getting sick or flu.
And that's the historical and cultural side of the festival. But on this day, we cannot help but reflect on the society today, because today in China, we have people over the age of 60 accounting for 22% of the entire population, and people over the age of 65, 15%. And we talked about in 2035, it's projected that over 30% of people would be over the age of 60.
Yeah, and it's going to peak at around 2050. So it's going to continue up until that time.
Which it means that our society is welcoming and also definitely going to be home for more and more senior people, and how to make it adaptable to them, suitable to them, comfortable for them is the topic that we've been talking about, I think, at least for 5-10 years, because the trend has been there and the country is doing something about it. And there are different types of strategies and different types of scientific research, as well as different ways to make the society more friendly to the elders.
There are a large coverage of services already, especially in recent years, that's initiated by our country on the national side. So by the end of 2024, more than 1 billion people enjoyed coverage under China's basic old age insurance, an increase of over 6 million from the previous year. And also China's elderly care services are also improving since a few years ago. Also, by the conclusion of 2024, there were about 406,000 elderly care institutions and facilities of various types across the country. So that's something we have been already working on, but there are indeed more challenges that we are still facing and trying to address nowadays. And one way is the huge silver economy that has been discussed on Roundtable for multiple times. That is, I think it covers so many different areas. I don't even know where shall I start to introduce it. It's just a combination of consumption and elderly care for the silver hair group of population in this country.
Yeah, and it's a huge segment of the economy as well. So if the per capita consumption grows at a moderate pace, this is from the Fudan Institute on Aging. This is according to their report. If the growth continues at a moderate pace, the silver economy could reach over 19 trillion yuan. That's almost $2.7 trillion by 2035. Now, that's a significant number because it would account for almost 28% of total consumption and almost 10% of GDP. Fast forward that to 2050, and the sector is expected to expand to nearly 50 trillion yuan, or 35%, some 35% of consumption, and 12.5% of GDP. And what that means is that from now until the middle of this century, China will not only host the world's largest elderly population, but also the largest silver consumer market, and that offers vast development opportunities because the people who exist within that segment, they have money to spend, they contribute back to the economy, and that's a big opportunity for a lot of people, for a lot of businesses.
All the more reasons to embrace the silver economy and also the aging society. And that is why in November 2019, China jointly unveiled a medium and long-term plan for responding proactively to population aging. Different departments in the Chinese government jointly unveiled that, and the plan requires establishing the basic institutional framework for tackling population aging by 2022. And there are different aspects, including improved labor supply, a high-quality health service system, the application of technology in responding to population aging, an elderly-friendly social environment. All these are big words, but there are so many different details and aspects of life that need to be improved and need to be adjusted to fit in the line, to be able to help people accomplish these goals in these strategies.
Yeah, what you just mentioned, Honglin, that's a medium and long-term plan, and it has 5 different aspects that's being noted here. The first one is, of course, the economic security part. That includes improving income distribution, strengthening pension reserves, and also creating a fair and sustainable social security system. Second of all is the labor and employment side of this note. So that's to ensure sufficient and high-quality labor by enhancing education, lifelong learning, including for seniors as well, and just promoting a fuller, better quality employment. Then followed by healthcare, of course, building a comprehensive health system, a health service system rather, that's covering prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and long-term and hospice care as well. And then there's technology, promoting innovation and assistive technologies to help elder people to live better, to live with a higher quality of life. Last but not least, of course, there's the social environment, which encourage all of us, not just the elders, to foster such a culture of respecting and caring for the elderly, improving legal protections, and also ensuring seniors to live a fulfilled life.
Yes, we mentioned this earlier. That is, the entire society is moving towards a aging society kind of future. But what's been interesting, well, on Roundtable we talked about this several times, but what's interesting these days is that we see more and more young people actively get themselves involved in helping the elder generation, for example, adapting their homes from little details, or doing research on certain apps so that it's easier for the older generation to use that app. And sometimes they are also working on high tech. Maybe in 3 or 5 years, we'll be looking at a robotic helper in the home taking care of the senior.
Yeah, I don't think that's 3 or 5 years away. I think that maybe 3 or 5 months away.
Oh, that's even cooler. So what are some other examples we see as young people, finding their roles in an aging society?
Yeah, I think becoming involved work-wise is one of the big ways. And it was back in 2019 when plans were announced to encourage universities to set up dedicated elder care degrees. So the long-term goal at that time was to convince at least one higher education institution in each province in the country to launch a home economics or elder care program. 2 universities launched the country's first elder care bachelor's degrees. The following year, so it happened very quickly, right, from the recommendation to the actual launch of the degree. And then the first batch of students completed their programs in 2024. And this is an important step for universities to offer these types of programs, because it doesn't matter how many elder care companies there are if you don't have the trained staff employed within those centers. And that's one of the issues, is a lack of trained staff. There was a report from the Asian Development Bank that talked about the fact that senior care workers in China predominantly have a junior high school education or lower. So they were looking to have more qualified individuals within the sector. And to get those graduates, to lure, if you will, these specialists, employers are offering various incentives. Some will provide higher salaries, some will provide comprehensive insurance benefits, and others will promise a unique corporate culture, and a comfortable work environment. So all of those things are meant to attract the younger people to get involved with those majors from those universities and then pursue a career in elder care.
Yeah, indeed, a career, especially for those who took the majors and do plan to fulfill a career in elderly care sectors. But there are also the rest of us who don't necessarily major in such, say, degrees or professionalities. That's where me personally take part in a lot of the side when I am required to help the elderly back home to bridge digital gap and help them fix certain online little gadgets and teach them how to use certain apps. And yeah, that's just a problem faced very practically by millions and millions of elders today, that some of them have trouble distinguishing between self-service registration machines, let's say, and those for assessing test results in hospitals. That's even more common nowadays. Despite the help of young volunteers in these different venues, there is still a significant lack of assistance for the larger, if not elderly population. So there are young people throwing in efforts, tons and tons of efforts to address that pain point. For me, it's just a one case scenario, but there are other cases, such as this young person, let's just call him Feng, that's being reported in the 2024 report online, saying that Feng shared in one video of his plan to invite 100 young people to join the Mutual Assistance Initiative for Other People's Parents. That's an interesting name as a start. The idea was for participants to support elderly travelers by offering help with tasks like carrying luggage or using smart devices. So young people in this way can be gathered together wherever you're from, whichever background or career you are in, to just devote a little bit of your time and help out.
There are a lot of these kind of campaigns and activities in different cities and different provinces here in China. In 2025, April, in Guangdong province, there was a scientific innovation competition, and one of the questions they ask young teams to solve is that how to use AI to facilitate a artificial intelligence aid smart bathing center for older people. What are the algorithms you should be using? What are some points you should take into consideration? How to make sure it's safe? How to make sure they're happy with the services? And in Hunan province, a specific, I think it's a volunteer team from a university. What they did is that they went to relatively remote areas and villages, and they go into the homes of those elder people and they ask what they need. They send out questionnaires about what are some risks in their lives. These people, they do not even understand that after a certain, or when they age to a certain age, they need to quote unquote baby proof, but more like elder proof their homes to make certain places less slippery, to wrap up the sharp edges of certain areas so they do not get hurt. And these young people in the volunteer group did exactly that. They transformed several homes in the village and helped those elder people. Now, these are not major policies or strategies, but these little examples, these little actions, they change lives.
They do. And since you mentioned robots before, I want to mention this as well. This is how technology is playing its role. We learned how young people are playing their role, but technology is playing a role as well. You said 3 to 5 years. I said 3 to 5 months. I should have said 3 to 5 minutes, because in Shenzhen, at a nursing home there, robots are now a really important part of daily life for the people who live there. And the robots, they play chess with the seniors on a daily basis, and they do a type of therapy together with the seniors, and they provide mobility assistance as well. And there are also exoskeletons in use, exoskeleton robots. Those are assisting elderly users. We talked about the use in mountain climbing. That's one of the places where we're finding them there. But just technology being put to good use as well to help support one of the growing and larger communities here in the country.
We'll all be old one day.
Right.
Is there any...
Hopefully. Knock on wood.
Yes,
right?
of course, yes. So do you think which is more important? Technology, in the sense that we might be able to live in a day and age where we don't really need to depend on human caregivers. We just, work with the robots who will bring us the food we need, will help us when there's an emergency. Or do you think the atmosphere of the society, that is the society being very inclusive and very lovable, and they not only respect the elderly, but also at the same time believe that even senior people, see, that is a wrong wording, senior people are even more valuable in certain cases. They can not only enjoy the society, but also contribute to the society in their own ways. Which, in your opinion, is more important? And you can say both.
I wanted to say both,
Yes.
but let me just start with the second opinion, where the aspects that you suggested. I think in that case, it's something that's more ideal for all societies to work out in all different scenarios. But let's just say, with the help of technology, it's going to be bettered. So, yeah.
I would say, why can't it be both?
It can be both.
Yeah. Making use of tech to help where it can help, I think, is a really smart thing to do, because sometimes, we always want to have the people there to offer their support, but sometimes it's just not logistically possible. So I remember hearing about a story, watching a video about a story, I think I brought it up on the show, about an elderly assistance robot, but it was this cute little machine, and it played the role of a friend, but it also played the role of a reminder to take medicine and things like that. So that can be put to great use. But we don't want to isolate the community with robots for the last stages of their lives. So having these programs from universities, having young people involved, it makes the relationship reciprocal. It's one community giving back to the other community, and that's how a society functions very well as a whole.
I'm asking the question because I don't think we should be asking the questions. Now we see a lot of examples of young people helping the elder generation in different ways, but they should also be learning from the seniors, because they lived their entire life already, well, almost, and they have a lot to share. And that is why, on top of having younger people helping to make the society more tolerant and inclusive for the elders, we are also looking at some young people moving into certain communities that are having a higher percentage of the seniors, and they live together with these people. They also consult with their life problems, their career problems, and they initiate the kind of gathering together, meetings and parties with people from all different age group. And it ended up beautifully. Everyone's having a good time.
Speaking of having a good time, I'm not worried about the social aspect of the senior communities. Multiple places just around our workplace in the evening times, I've seen the dance parties in the park.
They are good.
They are having the time of their lives. And this is like on a Tuesday evening. There's no need to wait for the weekend. Go on and have a time.
Yes, and that brings us to the end of today's show. We didn't have time to air our heart-to-heart segment. Let's move it to tomorrow's show. And at the same time, we'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topics. Leave us a comment wherever you listen to your podcast, or send a message to roundtablepodcast@qq.com. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.